Hello again.
Hi.
Yeah. Still good?
Yeah.
Perfect.
More questions?
Yes, I have more questions.
Okay. Shoot.
Okay. What if you need to change the storage class away from the archive class? You mentioned earlier that it's kind of a one-way street, but most likely at some point of time you want to change the storage class back towards the beginning.
Yeah. So let's think about that for a moment. Like, when does that happen? Well, basically, when you have something in deep storage or in archive, and you want to get it back, you're basically restoring something that you lost somewhere else, or you suddenly need to have access to again. And then that's something that happens ad hoc. So you would have a manual process for that, right? Here in lifecycle management, we're talking about automated processes. So automated archiving, but then restoring would always be manual. And there's, of course, you can do that. That's not a problem at all.
Okay, but the lifecycle policy cannot move it. Like, for example, after a year, you know that you're going to need this object. You would have to manually restore it.
Yeah.
Okay. What if you need to restore an object?
Yeah, then you manually do that. So you manually change. First of all, you can just read directly from archive.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if you only need access to the object, that's not a problem. It's in the archive storage class, but you just read it, right? And if you think that you're going to need it more later on, then you change the storage class away from archive into standard.
Manually.
First, and then you read it.
So you wouldn't read it from the archive class?
No, because each time you remember from the pricing, reading from archive class was pretty expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So when you manually change the storage class back to standard, that will count as a read. So if you need access to that data, it's better to first move it and then access it, especially if you need to access it like 2 times. Then it's already cheaper to do that from the standard class.
And I can guess, for example, if you have an old project that has its data in the archive class, and then you suddenly need to work on that project, then you would definitely want to move it back to...
Yeah, back to standard, yeah.
Standard.
Kind of start again with the lifecycle.
Okay. And so how would you start that again?
You don't...
It would automatically apply.
Yeah.
So eventually it would go back to the archive class.
Yeah.
If the original policy was such.
Yeah, of course it depends on the policy. Just remember that all of the rules are taken literally. So if you do restore an object into standard class, then and you have a rule in place that objects that are over 300 days old go into archive, you know what happens.
So it's counted from the original
because
creation date of the object.
Right.
So you need to have some thinking before that.
Yeah.
Like,
so probably best would be
last
just
edit or
just create a copy. Right.
Okay.
Then you're kind of
then it's a new object.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the most common reasons for having a lifecycle management configuration? What's the benefit?
Yeah, this is a good question, and when we talked about this earlier, this made me maybe think a little bit about this. So I guess it kind of all boils down to cost reduction. That's what we're doing, right? That's why it goes downstreams, because the cost in the next layer would always be lower. So what we're trying to do is automate archival or cost reduction for data that we probably don't need that often anymore. And then we have plenty of other options there as well, right? We have the option of creating a rule that will delete all versions except for the 3 newest ones, right? Which makes sense, as we want to have a couple of the newest versions if we delete something by accident or something like that. But then again, we don't really need that many versions.
For example, hundreds of versions.
Yeah, exactly. So then we could create that kind of a rule. But then again, what is the reason why we are creating that kind of a rule? Well, it's because we don't want to pay for 100 versions. We could have 100 versions there. That's not the problem.
Times millions of objects. So that's going to be that's going to be costly.
Exactly. So kind of it always boils down to cost.
Is there like any security related reasons?
No. No, there is no.
Or deletion, maybe not to have documents or objects hanging around for too long a time?
No, that's the thing. Even though you're changing the storage class, they're still there, right? So you mean deletion?
So you would, like, for example, after 2 years, you would delete the object?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. So you could say that.
Some sensitive information that you don't want to.
Yeah, or like customer information. Right?
Yeah.
So we could say that.
So you wouldn't even be allowed to store it for a long time.
Yeah. So like order information could be deleted automatically like 1 year after the order has been finalized, or that could be another reason. However, that kind of data often is in databases or in a structured way. So not that common a use case for cloud storage, but we could think about something like that. Yeah, good point.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.